Welcome back to Q-Dads, guys. It's me, Ben, and yes, I am here with episode 2 of season 2. And this time we get to learn a lot more about the faith of Foundation and how it's turning into some kind of cult, an organisation to kind of rival that of Empire. And of course, at the end, we hear the whispers of that name, Hober Mallow, which obviously for me is one of my favourites. As always, there's no book spoilers here. We do only cover this from a TV show perspective only. Now, do you know what? Let's waste no more time and let's just dive straight in. So, we open up the episode this time on the beggar, which of course is on Synax. Now, this is where we left it at the end of episode 1. And here, we're kind of getting a little bit about Harry and he's giving a grilling to Gale. But ultimately, it's all around her ruining the plan, or at least knocking it off track. And now that Gale is his tormentor, we actually realise that Harry has been awake the whole time for when Gale was in cryosleep, and that is 138 years. Now, this is something that I actually overlooked the first time round, but imagine that for a second, being conscious and battling with your own mind for 138 years. It must have felt like an absolute eternity. And of course, we do have that speculation that time can work slightly differently within the vault. But even just a couple of days of constantly being awake and not knowing where you are or who you are or what's happening on the outside world can also again feel like an eternity. But then again, it is just the mind of Harry, not his actual self. Let's not forget that everything we see of him moving forward is pretty much a digital version. And of course, Harry then unblocks the digital error, allowing them to take off. And I've got to point out here, which I really did love, that Sal climbed on top of the beggar to unclog the coral that was blocking the engine. And she actually buckles herself in. Now, I've got to really love and appreciate the cause for safety first, which again has been a key focus. So, you know what? Nice touch. And then we get our first shot of a new planet, Siwenna, which is a planet on the outer reach. And this is where we get to meet a couple of new characters. One is Brother Constant, who obviously works for the Church of Selden, or the Foundation, however you like to look at it. And this faith has obviously been going strong now and developing over the past century. We then get to see the return of, a more drunk version, but Polly Verisov. And of course, this series has allowed him to kind of cryosleep, survive the past 138 years, and now he's a bit of a magician. But yes, of course, I haven't missed the best character that we get introduced to, and that is Becky, the superb Bishop's Claw, which again is my number one favourite character in the whole series, and also becomes a pivotal part of Empire's history later down the line. So, Brother Constance and Polly essentially perform this magic show to the locals, who are all used to worshipping some kind of lightning deity. Now, it seems that, intelligence is a little bit short on this planet, and the people don't tend to deal with too much technology. But it's always great to see these illusions brought to life. A bit of a coin trick here, and lightning coming out of Polly's sleeves. It was really lovely to see. But it was interrupted as they got a call that the vault is opening and is calling them back to Terminus. Now, as the episode continues, we get to see Day and Demoiselle having a bit of a conversation about the history of some of the previous empires before them, like Hanlo and Amenhotep, who began over 4,000 years ago. And they're really only just recently taken over in comparison where the genetic dynasty has, because they've been around for 400 years. They then continue the conversation and introduce someone who will help start this mission back to Terminus and ultimately put the Foundation to bed. And that, of course, is Bel Rios, which we don't see in this episode, but his character is worth watching out for because he has been through a lot of turmoil and is going to go through a lot more too. But interestingly here, there's a couple of points. One, we actually see Day move the painting around. So, ultimately, he's just destroyed that mural and someone's going to have to come and touch it up, which is a little bit of a shame on him moment. Now, I am currently going through a bit of a rewatch, so I can't quite remember if we touch on this element or not. But I want to talk about Demoiselle. The way that she stares at that mural seems to have some kind of connection. Now, if I remember correctly, I think she was a part of this dynasty and has kind of been their right-hand lady for some time, considering the fact that she is 11,000 years old. But I just can't quite remember. And I suppose that's the whole point of doing a rewatch, isn't it? Is to get up to speed with these kind of details. But if you can remember if she was a part of this dynasty long before the Cleons, please do let me know, because something's telling me in my mind that she was actually in that mural herself. We then learn from Sal and Gale that the Second Foundation never actually started, but they did discuss the turning point of Gale's vision, which was proposed to be around 150 years into the future. And obviously they've put a plan forward to drown Gale with oxygen and put herself forward into the mule's vision. Now, essentially, that is the turning point. And we learn later on in the episode that it actually gives us the location of the Second Foundation, because it can still happen. And this is, of course, on the planet Ignis. And this is where we get to see Gale's army of Mentalics, of course, after they defeat Tell Bond. Now, I do want to touch on Queen Sareth for a moment. She was introduced in this episode and frankly is quite rude and obnoxious. And she's constantly making these small little digs at the genetic dynasty, and even saying to Dawn that he will cease to exist. And that is obviously because if her and Day continue with the marriage, they will have natural heirs to the throne, which means then there'll be zero need for Dawn, or any other Day for that matter. Then she insists to see the backup copies of Empire. Now, this is where we get to see quite a few copies, and not just one that they have at the ready, but various stages from pretty much an embryo state all the way through to obviously day and eventually dusk. And we're also learning here that they are, yes, going to conceive a child, but it's going to be in a lab condition. And I just don't know. There's something about Sareth that I don't like. And obviously I know where this is going. This is a rewatch, so I know how or the direction that Sareth is going to head in. But just in this moment, I just don't like her. And I just think that she's giving off the wrong messages. And something that I actually did miss first time round was the reason why. So it was mentioned over a conversation that the actual fact she became queen was only because her older siblings died. And again, they died potentially because of something that Day had influenced. But she was never actually in line for succession. So she never had the same kind of etiquettes of royal life. She never had that training to be involved with other members of royal families across the galaxy. So when her siblings died, she was kind of just thrust up to the top spot and became queen with no formal training at all. And I suppose that kind of explains the type of person that she is now. And then we end the episode with really two different things. One being Sal and Gale having looked into the future. We saw the mule, who essentially looked back into the past. So he also has a strong mentalic ability too, which makes us question who the mule's parents are, especially with time being involved. But then we ultimately see Sal dying. Can this event be stopped, or is it pivotal for saving the Foundation and preventing those dark ages from being so long? And then we get the Vault. First of all, killing the Jaeger, Warden of Terminus, which I felt a little bit bad for because I kind of wanted to see this character develop a little bit. But, arrogance obviously got in the way there and took care of that. But of course, the Vault then reads the name Hober Mallow, which leads everyone then to start searching for him, thinking that he is the key, the saviour, or even the potential cause of the next crisis. And then that's it, guys. Episode 2 is over. And there were a lot of great details in this. Some that I probably have skimmed over too, such as the aura that Brother Constant had. Where did she get that from? How common is this technology now? Or has it been passed down through the generations to her? But either way, it was a great episode. And we're really starting to pick up the pace and set the tone for the whole series. We've got Queen Sareth being a little bit sneaky with Empire. We've got the search for Hober Mello beginning with Brother Constance and Polly. And then, of course, we have the journey to Ignis with Sal and Gale. So many storylines that are starting to be unravelled, and I'm really looking forward to the rest of this rewatch. But as always, guys, I'm going to throw it over to you. So let me know in the comments your thoughts. What did you spot second time round when watching this that you didn't the first time? And of course, which storyline are you looking forward to the most? As always, don't forget to hit that subscribe button. Thanks for watching, and I'll catch you next time with something new.